What is up, all my prawns? Shrimples coming back to you with the hottest show on the internet, the Left 4 Dead 2 Extreme Difficulty Challenge. Last time, we had our soul physically removed from our body, blended up, and then tossed directly into a landfill as we tried to complete Dark Carnival, racking up the most deaths in the series thus far and increased the total up to 68 deaths. Next map up is arguably the most southern map in an already southern game, Swamp Fever. The group find themselves in the hidden village of the swamp and have to battle through the bogs and the muck and the mudman to get out alive. As someone who's not from the South and has very little experience with the Southern climate, I have little reference for how bogs, marshes, swampland, the environment shapes the people who inhabit it. I know the stereotypes of the Florida man and people obsessed with eating like gator meat, but this level is a true glimpse into the lifestyle of a people who I have no reference for or understanding of. So it's really cool getting to learn bits and pieces of the culture and how that infection that plagues this game has impacted that community. This is also a very unique set piece, with places like the river raft crossing mechanism, and it helps showcase how the residents of this place managed to hold out for as long as they did. This level is also the first chapter 1 where we actually died and had to begin formulating a strategy to get far into the level, as the event for this chapter is a holdout event at this raft. This campaign is also by far the most open out of any of them, which creates a real sense of nakedness, where infected can seemingly come from anywhere and sneak up on you, whether it's through the woods or through the buildings. There's just so many ominous places, and you just feel like there's always someone watching you in this swampland. This creates a unique sense of dread compared to what I've come to expect from Left 4 Dead, with the more cramped locations where I've always felt it shines. For the raft event, though, the major issues come from the infected running through the woods, making it tough to spot them before they get on top of you, as well as the waterfront directly behind you, which puts your backs against a wall essentially. This creates a distinct urgency whenever you hear a jockey or a charger, as both have the opportunity to instantly down or outright kill you with the right positioning if you aren't careful. As such, this is where the jockey shines, as the hordes keep you preoccupied, and its already short stature forces you to make a decision between either letting the commons get closer or to stop the jockey before it's too late and he pushes you off the edge. The jockey has a very similar issue to the hunter, though, in that you can just always knock him away with your melee. But unlike the hunter, the jockey is a fantastic combo infected, as he regularly pulls you around corners to isolate you, or pulls you back into a horde, or even any area of effect damage that you put on the ground, like a spitter goo or a fire. What I find the most challenging about dealing with the jockey, though, is just how immediate his damage is compared to the other special infected, which chips away at your health over the course of a run. While with the hunter or smoker, or even common infected, getting caught out doesn't necessarily result in immediate damage. So it's possible to react to them and try to counter it before you regret it, usually through a melee, but with the smoker you can just, get a lucky shot as you're getting pulled. However, the jockey always at least does 12 damage on a grab, so he's a constant annoyance to deal with. Ultimately, I place him in B tier due to his ability to still get countered pretty easily, but still posing a large enough threat to where I feel compelled to deal with him every time he spawns before he becomes an issue. As we get across the river on the raft, we end up stepping on top of a dock, which is just surrounded by swampland, which will become the staple of the Swamp Fever campaign. Who would have guessed? This creates a natural funnel that completely shifts the sense of danger that we've grown used to expecting from all of the city levels with the alleyways and maintenance shafts, and even the Tunnel of Love chapter from Dark Carnival. While it has the same idea as crossing an alleyway or swimming through the sewers because of the lack of walking space, what makes the docks terrifying is that sense of nakedness that I was talking about before, as opposed to claustrophobia, as the horde can climb up from all around you, and just the idea of knowing that if you fall, it's directly into the swamps where you won't be fast enough to outrun the zombies and you're gonna die. Luckily, though, we did manage to use that limited space to our advantage and baited a witch to walk through the swampland until she died, and we were able to get to our first safe house. We ended up accumulating 3 deaths in Chapter 1, which brought us up to 71 deaths for the total, which definitely isn't a great pace compared to where we've been on previous campaigns, so we've really got to clean up our gameplay. We could have just blitzed through that entire section, but because we didn't, we kind of had to deal with the way that it all lied. Right, how do I get down from here? Because I don't really want to take any extra damage if I don't need to. I also just don't know where to go. Looks like it's a witch. See if I can't get these guys to aggro her. So it's not me. Oh, so just getting in her way is enough for her to kill you? Okay, good to know. Nice, I managed to snipe that smoker from halfway across the map. Save our boy. Okay, about 3/4 of the way here for this gondola. Unfortunately, our boys are all kind of getting swarmed. See if can't get them up right here. All right, hold on. I'm gonna have to make sure this Chargers is out of the way. Uh-oh, smoker. Actually, great snipe from this smoker. Unfortunate, and a second zombie wave came by. Oh well. Maybe our positioning wasn't the best there, because like we were kind of trapped around a tree. Okay, throw the pipe bomb immediately. Unfortunately, something like a charger is something I worry about. Just because there's not really a way for us to save ourselves if we're right here from a charger. Wow, I took those hits really quickly. Yeah, this seems like it's already going to be a quick run. So far, it seems like on the runs where we've been using this SMG, we haven't really been able to get as far as when we were using the shotgun. So I guess just kind of makes sense. Right? Doesn't have as much stopping power. Yeah, we'll see if Coach has what it takes to get us out of here. But let's head back to the shotgun route. See if that's going to get us out of here. Chapter 2 forces you to come face to face with the swamp, as you're forced to wade through the muck. Introducing the uncommon infected, the Mudman, as well. Which, this is the only uncommon infected I've brought up so far, but that's just because of how impactful this uncommon one is for me personally. As every time one spawned, it brought my brain into a panic, thinking that it was a jockey every single time I saw one skitter across my screen, so it definitely holds a special place in my heart. The swamp itself, though, kind of all bleeds together, so it can be very easily to get turned around in the marsh if you aren't paying attention. And with all the brush around you, the hordes can quickly just overwhelm you. There is one notable landmark in the map, though, that acts as a bit of a pillar or a safe haven or a beacon from the swamp, which is a crashed airplane. It does feel a bit weird for like the husk of this plane to cause a horde to spawn with its event when you pop open the door, but it does serve as a nice bit of contrast to the otherwise muted palette of the murk and grime and the grays and greens and browns of the rest of the level. Once the survivors leap from the plane wing, though, and splash back down into the mud, there are a few more burnt out and flooded huts that we come across before crawling out onto a roadway. Ultimately, this is a relatively short level with few complications, and I would argue it's probably one of the more forgettable levels in the game. We did end up dying twice, though, trying to go fast and just getting caught out in the middle of the water. This brought our death total up to 73, but with the right pacing, we ended up making it through without any difficulties. So that might be a little bit of an oops. Hopefully this wave calms down a little bit, though. So that way I'll be able to get a reset off. Get at least some health. I'm glad Ellis is kind of like screaming and dragging them all over to him, though. Because I can at least keep him alive a little bit. But if they ever started to attack me, yeah, I'd go down pretty instantly. I might have wanted to pick up the AK as well. But yeah, that's my bad. I wasn't aware that the fire was going to go, like, crawl through that door the way it did. Or we can always run. Always an option. Throw out the pipe bomb. Unfortunately, like, my UI just went away. I was kind of curious. Maybe I get hit by something? Yeah, next time I think we're going to, try and just stay in the plane. Because I wasn't sure what I expected when I jumped off the plane into a swamp, but definitely was not going to be able to get rid of all those infected for sure. Chapter 3 takes place deep within the swampland, showcasing a rundown, small community pushed to their limits by the infection. The survivors end up running through several dilapidated shacks, once again encountering a pit of dead livestock, which is completely untouched by the infected, which once again raises the question of how wildlife interacts with the infection, and makes me wonder if this was like a last-ditch effort by the community to prevent the spread of infection, despite what it meant for their food reserves. Further into the chapter, there's several houses built above the marshland and connected by a series of wooden bridges, which leads us to our event for the chapter, which tasks us with another holdout in a shoddy closet, with infected just slowly tearing new entrances in the walls and needing to sprint across the rickety planks as the horde descends on our party, with falling off the platforms, sealing our fates, as shown in our only death of this chapter. Sure. Do it. Throw a pipe bomb. Yeah, that doesn't buy us some time. Definitely gonna need to pop this adrenaline. Alright. See if we can't run across now. Just gonna do another chainsaw run. I don't know where I'm going, but here's hoping this chainsaw run through the ocean is good enough. I think I probably could have stayed up on top and been perfectly fine, I'll be honest with you. The second time around, though, we were more careful crossing the bridges and quickly made our way to the safe house, but not without displaying a new piece of tech that I ended up learning over the course of the run. See, I learned that if a survivor dies, they respawn with around half of their health. So in this case, where the entire party was hanging on by a thread following a skirmish with a tank right in front of the safe room, I made the tough call to put them out of their misery, save our medical supplies for the next chapter. I definitely try to make use of this for the rest of the challenge to prevent any of our incidents like with the Dark Carnival Chapter 4, where we spawned with 2 people at low HP and them just refusing to use our meds. At the end of Chapter 3, we only had 1 death and brought our total up to 74. The finale for Swamp Fever sets a completely different tone from the rest of the campaign, to the point where While I struggled to remember any specific moments or locations from the other chapters while editing this video, the finale was firmly cemented in my mind. The set piece for this finale is a huge, massive plantation mansion, with all of the bells and whistles we've come to expect from our finales. A treasure trove of throwables and traps to lay out as we see fit. But surprisingly, there's actually more to talk about with this finale than just that last stand we make. The run to the mansion from the safe room was actually surprisingly rather difficult for me, as regularly the AI would separate themselves from me towards a path towards a random building where they just decided to go up to the roof to get some extra ammo. I didn't really understand why they kept doing that, but it would lead to me needing to fight some special infected or a wave by myself as they wandered off. This led to several moments of frustration where the AI or myself would get caught out and I would take unnecessary damage before ever beginning the holdout. Even the boomer was an issue here, as being separated from my team would lead to me getting distracted fighting the horde or other special infected, and they would use that timing to catch me off guard and spawn a horde I just simply wasn't equipped to deal with. The boomer itself was more of an inconvenience than anything over the course of this run. If it had really good timing, placing itself around corners as I was in high stress scenario and didn't process them in time, it would be very impactful, right? But what really made it annoying to deal with was the extra horde it spawns after I got boomed on. As I got more and more comfortable with the gameplay of expert difficulty, I would be able to roughly judge when hordes would spawn and could bunker down in a small corridor or building or room to funnel those infected in before moving on with my day. But a single boomer would ruin that rhythm completely, either by barfing on me, which would completely disorient me and commonly would lead to me shooting my own teammates in the back, or if it hit the AI, it would lead me to needing to waste extra ammo on this new horde because of something that I couldn't always control. So, the boomer itself is probably the easiest infected to counter in the entire game, as you can both push it back, just like with the jockey and hunter, but you can also just kill it with any stray bullets. I would regularly collat them with a sniper or an AK, despite having absolutely no clue they were ever hidden in the horde. And the AI companions were largely successful killing it before it ever got close, and I never saw it. However, because of how disruptive the boomer was when it did hit, I felt compelled to at least put it in C tier, as I felt it was more common that getting boomed would affect my run than getting spat on by a spitter would. The actual holdout in this finale was probably my favorite across the entire challenge. Much like the concert in Dark Carnival, it's a real sandbox style level where there's numerous ways to survive because of just how many resources exist in the level. I ended up discovering after some testing that the back right corner of the balcony filled every single one of my needs I've learned over the course of this run. And it was very similar to the main stage area on the concert stage. I could limit the infected to running through like 3 different choke points, which greatly limited the versatility of the special infected, as many of them couldn't even get into a position to wreak havoc because of how tight the corners were. And I also had an easy escape route by dropping off directly to my right if needed. This was especially necessary when the tanks would spawn, as I needed a quick way to get to open space and avoid a close quarters fight. And I actually ended up piling up some gas cans there, so I had an easy access to counter options if I ever needed them. I also found that the ammo supply spawned more often on the right side of the courtyard for my runs, and that the med packs would spawn on the left side. So this led to a naturally fun route I would take, where I would first get into the house from the roof, find a boomer bile, follow the escape route, toss the bile towards the back of the courtyard, and grab a Molotov on my way up the stairs so I could position myself on the balcony without any of my companions getting caught out, and then I could wait out the hordes until the tank would spawn. Then I just drop down the right side, throw the Molotov, kill the tank, go for ammo to the health packs, back to the boomer bile spawn, toss it so I could reset up top again, and then I would just repeat that. I did end up dying a few times before getting that whole system down, but it was very rewarding to figure out a route and have it work out as well as it did, and it truly made me feel like I was getting better at understanding this game and finding my own play style. I ended up taking a sprint through the courtyard on very low resources, and I was able to hop on the boat right as Ellis died, and we escaped with only 4 deaths. That led to 10 deaths across the entire Swamp Fever campaign and brought our total to 78 deaths in this run, which is a far cry from how the 2 previous campaigns end up wrapping up. I did promise to come back to my throwable rankings throughout the run, so here's where I'm at after this chapter. Molotovs definitely fell further down the list as time went on. While it's great at clearing hordes and is still by far my most consistent damage option versus the tank, it's much more limiting than I initially thought. First off, the damage it does to me and the teammates is insane, with a single pathing error leading to a companion dying outright. It is also completely unusable in close quarters, as the burn damage just ticks up too quickly for me to use effectively without causing major injuries to myself or the team. As such, I would rarely use it for horde clears outside of holdouts, because I began finding out that it was more effective to just sit in a small room and force the horde into a stream of bullets instead. In this campaign in particular, the Molotov was almost entirely useless outside of the finale due to just the heavy amount of swampland and water we had to wade through. This greatly reduced the playable areas where I could effectively use a Molotov and just reduced its impact overall. The pipe bomb continued to be effective when clearing hordes. However, it also began to slip down my rankings for usage as I learned more of the mechanics of the game. The first issue with the pipe bomb is that the timer is pretty short, all things considered. This leads to it not having enough staying power to clear a full horde, and while it is still great in tight situations where I needed to have a panic option, ultimately it just became less useful than Bile as time went on. Something I also began to notice is that if I would throw the pipe bomb down and then walk away, usually to get like an ammo reset or to pick up another throwable, because I would usually just use the pipe bomb if I had something else I wanted to use, the horde wouldn't group up correctly, and sometimes the pipe bomb just wouldn't even explode and kill anything. And mainly that came up in the next campaign in the series, but like, just overall, it made me feel kind of restricted in what I could use the pipe bomb for, where I felt like I would have to sit there and watch it go off, which didn't really feel like what I wanted to use the pipe bomb for to begin with. The Boomer Bile, however, just completely shot up my rankings immensely as time went on. In the first campaign, I couldn't find a use case where Bile just wasn't a worse pipe bomb, but I gradually learned just how disruptive it could be, and I found both use cases for it to be incredibly impactful when I needed it. I'll start with the second use case because it's significantly more wasteful, and that was to coat the tank or witch in Bile to slow them down. For some reason, the AI for those two infected get really confused when covered in Bile, and it would slow down several times when commons would run into them. This led to me getting a ton of pot shots I otherwise wouldn't have the time to do, and is the single reason I was able to get through chapter 1 of this campaign without more deaths. The witch ended up blocking my path to the safe room in both attempts that made it across the river. In the first attempt, I just straight up died to her, and just barely in the second attempt I had enough time to stop her because I used some Boomer Bile and slowed her down as she waded through the swamp below. The other use case is that the bile is just outright broken when trying to clear the way of infected. My biggest sticking point with how I would die earlier in the run is that I would regularly get caught out of position or mid-rotation. With Boomer Bile, it drags all common infected to that location, and it greatly reduces the amount of enemies pathing to me to get in my way. While reviewing the footage back for this series, I realized if I had just used a single Boomer Bile in the deadliest section of the first 3 campaigns, whether it was the mall finale, the passing finale or the canal, or even the Dark Carnival Chapter 4 sprint, I would have probably first tried all 3 of those sections and greatly reduced my total deaths. This is the single reason why many of the later holdouts and infinite horde sprint sections were less frustrating for me to deal with, as I could always plan beforehand to bring a boomer bile to redirect the horde and complete most objectives before they ever recovered. This is just something that the pipe bomb can't do, as it doesn't have the same longevity that the boomer bile does, and this will continue to be my greatest asset moving forward with the run. With Swamp Fever out of the way, we're starting to wind down the challenge. With only 2 campaigns left, we have to keep stepping up our game. Thank you for watching, and once again, I would love any and all advice. And if you like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'll be back for our next video soon, so see you then. Bye! I'm gonna start running again. Alright, unfortunately I couldn't manage to protect them. Alright, probably gonna need this fire canister. Yeah. Good, that managed to work. Nice. Okay, he's dead, he's dead. We can get a reset off. Alright, run back upstairs, grab our guys. I don't know if there'll be enough time. Oh, that boomer would have been awful if I didn't spot it.
Let's get you up.
Okay, pick up coach. At least one of them has a res. Come on, guys, you gotta be able to keep me a little safer than that. Oh my god, they're coming through the roof. Directly on top of me. Yeah, unfortunate. I think if we have Ellis, we're fine there. It just takes too long to rev the chainsaw. Like, I'm truly trying my best. Just can't get it off. Actually, let's throw a boomer bile behind us.
Cover me, please.
That should hopefully give us some space. Tank? Okay, we have to find a way down immediately. Oh, jockey, guys, please, get rid of him. Okay, I'm gonna try to jump around these guys. Throw a Molotov down. I can't even get to the Molotovs. Two tanks. Unfortunate timing. Like, he can't be doing that. Alright, I'm gonna hop down here. Where is the tank? Alright, second floor. Needs to drop down here. So we'll all walk backwards. Alright, Ellis. Good luck, man. Like, he kept not walking towards us. Uh-oh. A horrible timing for the hunter to get me. Come on. Unfortunate. He even died immediately afterwards, too. He climbs on top of this table. Okay, tank got incapacitated. Oh, the boomer bile. That is unfortunate placement. Because if there wasn't a boomer there, we don't have to fight this wave at the same time as the horde. Or the wave at the same time as him. Try to boomer bile immediately at my feet. Try and get around. Like, with a defib. Yeah, I can't get to them with a defib either. Alright. Yeah, this is the end of the run. Unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate there. But the second we got to kill both tanks and both of them are like smacking our guys, that's when I think we're going to be struggling a lot more. All right, is it tank time? All right, it's tank time. Go. Where's he at? Shoot the fire. Okay, second one's behind us. Keep running, keep running, keep running. Alright, he's already dead. So we just gotta set him on fire. Coach ran forward into the fire. Okay. I mean, we'll see. I highly doubt Ellis can survive that. But yeah, the second two tanks spawn, it just gets so awkward so quickly. All right, first tank down though. All right, if we can get this guy alive, I think we're good. Because if I can keep Ellis alive, I'm not going to be worried about it. Okay, he's dead. Have to make sure that charger doesn't kill me though.
You're gonna have to suck it up.
Find a pipe bomb somewhere.
A little bit longer. Don't worry about it.
All right, pipe bomb, boomer bile, something. Pipe bomb, perfect.
Wow.
Oh, let's just go. Let's just go. All right, cool. Just screw Ellis, bro. Get across this water. All right, perfect. And Ellis dies just in time. Sub 2 hours. Man, okay, well, hey, the second we managed to get 4 people to that end area and we knew what we were doing, we got it on our first try. I really liked that strat.